Will we ever be free?
Someday we will be. Someday.
Someday? Someday ain't soon enough.
It has to be.
It can't be. We can't wait for it to come to us. We have to demand it and take it. We have to be in control. But how? There's nothing we can do.
There is a way.
It sure ain't your way.
But it's Dr. King's way. And it will work. Dr. King will see us through.
When will it work? I want to see it work right now.
There's no other way.
Then we fight.
Your hate will destroy you.
It's my hate which helps me survive.
There are two types of laws. There are just and unjust laws. How does one determine when a law is just or unjust? A just law is a man-made code that squares with the moral lay or the law of God. An unjust law is a code that is out of harmony with the moral law. Any law that uplifts human personality is just. Any law that degrades human personality is unjust. All segregation statutes are unjust because segregation distorts the soul and damages the personality. I submit that an individual who breaks a law that conscience tells him is unjust and willingly accepts the penalty by staying in jail to arouse the conscience of the community over its injustice is in reality expressing the very highest respect for law.
How can any law be just if it's made by the whites?
If the law is good and moral.
I don't believe any of that. He is just a lawbreaker, like the rest of us.
He only breaks the bad ones.
Well, so do I.
You don't listen, do you?
I've heard all I needed to.
Why is Dr. King in here anyway? What did he do?
Let's ask. Hey, policeman!
What do you want, nigga?
I have a question.
What is it?
Why is Dr. King in here?
He had a parade without a permit.
That's it?
It's enough.
They just didn't want to have to hear Dr. King, that's all. Disappointed?
They sure have some dumb laws here.
We can never forget that everything Hitler did in Germany was legal. It was illegal to aid and comfort a Jew in Hitler's Germany. But I am sure that if I had lived in Germany during that time, I would have aided and comforted my Jewish brothers, even though it was illegal. I believe I would openly have advocated disobeying this law. I must make a confession to you, Christian and Jewish brothers. I must confess that over the last few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in the stride towards freedom is not the white citizens' counselor or the Ku Klux Klaner, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I can't agree with your methods of direct action.
How? How can we expect the whites to help us? If the church wouldn't, who would?
It's not like that. Some care.
I've not seen many.
They are there.
Maybe I expected too much from the white moderate. I had the strange feeling several years ago that we would have the support of the white church. I came to Birmingham with the hope that the white religious leadership of this community would see the justice of our cause. I had hoped that each of you would understand, but again, I have been disappointed. I have heard numerous religious leaders of the South call upon their worshippers to comply with a desegregation decision because it is the law. But I have longed to hear white ministers say, follow this decree because integration is morally right and the Negro is your brother. In the midst of a mighty struggle to rid our nation of racial and economic injustice, I have heard so many ministers say those are social issues with which the gospel has no real concern.
can't trust the church. It wouldn't help us.
Not all churches are bad.
All the white ones are. They don't care about helping others. All they care about is themselves.
Some care.
I haven't seen many.
If only they read their Bibles.
Did you know Jesus was a black man?
What's that?
He sure wasn't white. Not where from where he came from. In that part of the world, they're all dark skinned.
Maybe that's why they don't listen to Jesus.
Love thy neighbors? It doesn't work anyway.
It isn't easy, but you should try.
I could never love them.
Then they will never love you.
Contemporary church is often a weak, ineffectual voice with an uncertain sound. It is so often the arch supporter of the status quo. It wants to keep things as they are. I must turn my faith to the inner spiritual church, the church within the church, as the true ecclesia and the hope of the world. I have no fear about the outcome of our struggle in Birmingham, even if our motives are presently misunderstood. We will reach the goal of freedom in Birmingham and all over the nation, because the goal of America is freedom. Abused and scorned though we may be, our destiny is tied up with the destiny of America.
I'm not America.
We are all America. This is just as much our country as it is theirs. As long as the God is in heaven, America belongs to us.
We are from Africa. We don't belong here.
Then they are from Europe. We have been here just as long as they have. You know, the first Americans weren't white anyway. They were Indian. If anybody is more American, they are.
Then how come we are treated like we belong here? That's because we're still slaves in their eyes.
Then we have to show them that we are something more.
Now is the time to lift our national policy from the quicksand of racial injustice to the solid rock of human dignity. Oppressed people cannot remain oppressed forever. The urge for freedom will eventually come. This is what happened to the American Negro. Something within has reminded him of his birthright of freedom. Something without has reminded him that he can gain it.
Will we ever be free?
I don't know.
Will it only get worse?
Things will change.
But how long will it take?
It will be slow.
I feel like I've been waiting too long already. I want to see it before I die.
Me too, brother. Me too.
Never before have I written a letter so long. I'm afraid that it is much too long to take your precious time. I can assure you that it would have been much shorter if I had been writing from a comfortable desk. But what else is there to do when you're alone for days in the dull monotony of a narrow jail cell, other than write long letters, think strange thoughts, and pray long prayers? If I have said anything in this letter that is an overstatement of the truth and is indicative of an unreasonable impatience, I beg you to forgive me. If I have said anything in this letter that is an understatement of the truth and is indicative of my having a patience that makes me patient with anything less than brotherhood, I beg God to forgive me.